In today's video, I'm going to give you 3 different ways to serve up the Aperol Spritz, kind of put variations on it for you guys running pubs and bars so you can make more money, help you stand out from the crowd, help your cocktail menu differ from your competition. So that's what's coming up. But I've also got a cool little trick for those of you that don't necessarily go through that much Prosecco and you're frightened to open a bottle in case the rest of it is going to be wasted. Now, I know what you're thinking about that. You're thinking, well, actually, if we serve an Aperol Spritz, the chances are you're going to get through quite a lot of Prosecco. But if you are like a village pub, maybe, and you might only sell a couple of Aperol Spritzes a night, you probably won't sell glasses of Prosecco. Therefore, and it is quite expensive to have those little bottles. That's what I'm aiming this little hack at. It's a genius hack. It works a treat. And I actually really love it. Now, cards on the table, the Aperol Spritz is not my favourite cocktail. I'm not a huge fan of Spritzes in general. That's kind of why I riffed them up to make them more palatable for me personally. But there's no denying it, the Aperol Spritz has now become the cocktail in the UK of the summer. It has surpassed Pimms and Lemonade. Pimms and Lemonade is old news. The Aperol Spritz is the new big player in town. And I don't know why I'm saying new. It's been the cocktail of the summer for the last 5 or 6 years that I know of. So for you pubs and bars, if you are not making Aperol Spritzes, if you're not putting fun variations on Aperol Spritzes to generate more money, you are leaving money on the table. You are missing out. So how do you take your Aperol Spritz to a new level and give your customers a new experience? Well, as I've already mentioned, it is all about putting fun riffs and twists, adding little subtle flavours to make your Aperol Spritzes stand out. Now, before I dive in and show you these fun sort of Aperol Spritz variations, let's talk about that hack that I mentioned earlier. Instead of using Prosecco. Now, this could be a hack. This could be another way for you to play about with your cocktails. I'm a big fan of this in general because I've just fallen in love with this category. Now, Prosecco, let's be honest, look, for the vast majority of bars, you're going to be selling a lot of Prosecco. So opening it for the Aperol Spritzes, you're going to go through quite a lot for Aperol Spritzes anyway. It's not a thing. You're not worried about wastage with Prosecco. But with the Aperol Spritz, for the smaller venues, you're only using 75 ml of Prosecco. So that's, nearly half a glass of Prosecco. So therefore, you've got to make your bottle of Prosecco go 12 ways, or nearly 12 ways, instead of the traditional 6 if you're serving it by the glass. Now, the hack I want to talk about is Vermouth. Vermouth bumped up with a little bit of extra soda water. Or, of course, you could go wine as well. Wine with a little bit of extra soda water. Let's be honest, what is Prosecco at the end of the day? Prosecco is a sparkling wine, okay? So your probably natural alternative would be to find your favourite wine, use that, and maybe add a touch of extra soda water to it. And that will give you a very sort of similar vibe. It will be different. But again, cocktails are all about being different. Okay, it's not a thing that you have to use Prosecco. You can use these alternatives. Now, for me, Vermouth. I've fallen in love with this category. Now, there will be various videos about a local brand of Vermouth coming up very, very soon. I've got some samples, some little samples here. I'm waiting because I'm definitely getting the big bottles. Vermouth is a category that I've never really paid much attention to until I met these guys just down the road. And they are making some phenomenal Vermouths. Vermouth and tonic has just literally overnight become one of my favourite drinks. It's absolutely amazing. And so what Vermouth is, just if you really don't know, many people would just think of Martini, and Martini is a brand of Vermouth. Vermouth is essentially an aromatised wine. There's lots of herbs, lots of spices, maybe fruits and stuff gone into, macerated in wine, and then you've got your Vermouth. Think of it, many people understand what gin is simply vodka with a juniper berry in it. Probably more juniper berries than one, but a little bit of juniper, and then they've got other botanicals in there. So see, Vermouth is wine with botanicals, not juniper. Okay, so instead of vodka at the base of gin, you've got wine at the base of Vermouth. So with that, this is an English Vermouth. And the Vermouth I've got down the road is with English wine as well, and it's fantastic. But with Vermouth, you can add loads of different riffs on spritzes by substituting that Prosecco out as well. So for me, that's what I'm actually going to use because I've got this open. I've got a little bit of extra soda water open. I don't have much Prosecco here. I don't use much Prosecco. So for me, this is a great alternative riff on your spritzes. Now, I know I've just said I'm going to use this Vermouth to do this, but I've just realised I've got to film a reel at the same time as making this, and it was not going to make any sense to use this in the reel because I need to explain what this is. So for the benefit of like doing two things at the same time, I'm actually going to use that little bit of, it's nearly flat, but a little bit of the Prosecco that I've got left over from filming a previous video. But as I say, you know, little swerve. So let's dive into it. So let's start off with the standard Aperol Spritz go-to, which is a 1-2-3 formula. We're going 25 ml of soda water, 50 ml of your Aperol, and then 75 ml of your Prosecco. And of course, that's the other thing Vermouth in soda water would save you on, flat Prosecco. You know, there's nothing worse than having flat Prosecco. So that would be a great alternative. So just give it a quick stir, and that is your standard Aperol Spritz. Nothing is changing, even with any of these variations. Today's video is sponsored by my own free ebook. It's packed full of rum knowledge and information, plus recipes and tips that help you easily make some awesome cocktails at home. If you haven't grabbed the latest edition, then make sure you click the link in the description below. Or if you're watching on TV or desktop, then you can scan the QR code that's popping up on screen right now. Right, let's get back to the video. So the first of these tried and tested variations on an Aperol Spritz is my Hibiscus Spritz. Now, I'm going to talk through something else in a minute as well. If you watched the watermelon video where I did the watermelon spritz, you'll kind of know what's coming, balance adjusting sort of thing, but an easy, fat-free way of balance adjusting. However, at face value, if your clientele, if your customers have got a little bit of a fruity tooth, you're not going to need to do anything differently. So for this, I'm just using 15 ml of the Monin Hibiscus syrup. And then these little bad boys, these are Stillabunt Burlesque bitters. And Burlesque traditionally means acai and hibiscus. So we're going for double hibiscus. The bitters in this obviously pair this right back. These are non-alcoholic, super concentrated, 4 to 6 drops, okay? And you're, you know, roughly speaking, you're gonna get 150, 200 cocktails of this. Kind of nets down to roughly, give or take 20p a cocktail. So, you know, you would add, you're not just adding 20p onto an Aperol Spritz to do this, you are literally adding, you could charge a couple of pounds more easily in the UK for Spritz variations. Now the next one I'm going for is an absolute banger. Have a look at that on a close-up. Cherry and chocolate. That is a fantastic combination. Now, before I had these chocolate bitters, I didn't even use Angostura. I actually used like a split base of chocolate. There was a black forest. This is where it all stemmed from. Monin had a black forest syrup. They've done away with it here in the UK. So then I kind of did a split base of the chocolate syrup and the cherry syrup. And that was great, but it never kind of replaced that black forest, if you know what I mean. It wasn't quite right. But now, because I've got these Stillabunt non-alcoholic bitters here, you could do a standard 15 ml of your cherry syrup, 6 drops of these chocolate bitters, and you really do get that lovely sort of black forest vibe going through your Aperol Spritzes. If you're thinking, hang on a minute, I'm not too sure about that. If you know a chain called Albert Schloss, there's one in Manchester, one in Birmingham, a new one in London, one in Liverpool now. Okay, this is not where I got it from because I was using the Black Forest, Monin Black Forest like pre-COVID, but they have got a Black Forest Spritz, or did have, on their menus. So you know full well that this works a treat. But the Spritz I am going to make up is this third one, and a blood orange Spritz may be no brand new news to a lot of you old time viewers, because I think there's a video of this on this channel, like from 2018 or so. Blood orange Spritz is amazing. However, these bitters give me a chance to kind of play about and riff. Again, honey syrup might have been too sweet to add to this, 2 lots of sweetness. So the bitters just work fantastically well. So to my standard Aperol Spritz, I'm going to add 15 ml of the Monin blood orange syrup, and then 6 drops of the Stillabunt honey bitters. Give it a gentle stir to combine those ingredients. Then to garnish up, lovely sprig of mint, and then a dried orange from Frona. Now, for someone that doesn't like Aperol Spritzes, that's actually really, really delicious. And I think it's because it brings a little bit of extra sweetness. For me, it takes away the bitterness. Now, I've not got anything against the bitterness like Campari and Aperol. I love those sort of cocktails. Jungle Bird, for instance, a rum cocktail with Campari in it. I love that bittersweet, but it's Prosecco. I'm not a big Prosecco drinker. So for me, that sweetness does add or does make this more drinkable to me. And I know the UK palate as well. You put something like this on a menu, people are just gonna, you know, flock after it. It's like the woo-woo, the Sex on the Beach, the woo-woo, the pina coladas, all those sort of drinks. They are big, big sellers. So if you are making an Aperol Spritz slightly sweeter, chances are you might actually sell quite a bit more of it and make it more interesting at the same time. Now, what happens if you don't want that sweetness from an Aperol Spritz? If you want the flavours, but you don't want that extra sweetness, well, it's something I mentioned in the Real watermelon video, and that's balance adjusting syrups. Really easy to do. If you haven't watched that video, let me give you the broad overview. I'm not about to tell you to go onto Amazon and buy citric acid and malic acid and tartaric acid. If you've been around the YouTube ecosphere for the last few years, you would have seen all my favourite YouTube bartenders go down that route of balance adjusting. If you watch me, you know I'm all about faff-free, long life, shelf stable. I don't want to get scales out. I don't want to be weighing things. I don't want to get this calculator out to do all these calculations, scientific stuff. I want to add two things together to get the same result. And I can do that very, very easily for you. If I can buy something that's going to do that job, I'm going to do it because I haven't got time and I can't be bothered. All right. So we're going to, basic way of balance adjusting. Whatever syrup you've got here, doesn't matter. This will work here. If you watch the watermelon video, it's what I've just filmed. This is balance adjusted watermelon puree. Okay. So how I've done that, I've taken my, whoops, wrong way around, taken my watermelon puree, and there's this bad boy that's right beside it. It's not a new product to me. I've had this on this channel years. 2017, 2018, started using this. This is a product called Super Sour. Now, we kind of liken it in the past to distilled citrus because this was a thing predated balance adjusted here in the UK, predated mixologists going down their own route. And I said in that watermelon video, I'm not actually 100% sure whether this product kind of spurred all the mixologists to kind of do their own balance adjusting. I don't know where that phenomenon came from, but all I know is that this product has been on the shelves here in the UK long before balance adjusting was even a thing, okay? It wasn't kind of made for this. It was kind of made for being a long life, shelf stable citrus, of which it is. However, this thing has got your citric acid in it. It has got your malic acid in it. It's also got that little hint of salinity in it, saline solution, salt. So it brings together everything that you would do if you're a balance adjusted. You just don't need to faff around with powders or do that. You can just pour it straight out of the bottle. Now, for all of you, you're going to have different palates. You're going to have different preferred ratios. But what this Real watermelon is 25 ml of the puree to 15 ml of the super sour. So I've just done it in that ratios, okay? And that for me, right, I did 10 ml. I thought I might do 10 ml to be fair, but actually went up to 15 ml. Okay, and you can play about 12 ml might be the sweet spot, 17 ml might be the sweet spot. It's why you've got graded or graduated cylinders and all that. These things come in really useful if you want to do stuff like this. Okay, so all I would recommend you do is put 25 ml of your chosen syrup into a glass, into a bottle, into a graduated cylinder. Buy some of this, £8. Most wholesalers, your booze wholesalers in the UK will sell it. Add 25 ml of syrup to there. Start off with 5 ml, see what it tastes like. Add another 5 ml, 10 ml, so you've got 10 ml there. I think, for my palate, I think 15 ml is roughly going to be the sweet spot with a lot of these, but sometimes you might actually go up to 20 ml. It's up to you. And then you could just pre-batch, you could just batch them up like that. If you've got a cocktail on the menu where you're just balance adjusting all the time, just bottle it up just like that. Even bigger bottles. For me, I'm just using 350 ml bottles here. That is a very easy way to balance adjust syrups without going down the realms of buying all that citric, that tartaric, that malic acid off Amazon. Oh, and it saves you buying a set of scales as well. So there you go. There's 3 banging riffs for an Aperol Spritz to get you started. In the comments below, what other Aperol Spritz variations would you rock out? Let me know below. Don't forget my free ebook is still there for you to download if you haven't done it already. That'll be in the description below. Right now, I'm going to finish it. Well, I'm not actually. I'm going to finish the Paloma that I had in the made in the previous video. I'll give this to Mummy Barman. I'll see you in the next video.